Good afternoon. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the School Committee Building and Finance Subcommittee. Today is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023, and the time is 4:33 p.m. We, the School Committee and Administration, are meeting here in person at the Gloucester High School Library located at 32 Leslie O. Johnson Road, Gloucester, Mass. Consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to this meeting in real time and participate when necessary. Additionally, all votes taken by the Gloucester School Committee's Building and Finance Subcommittee during this and future meetings will be by roll call vote. At this meeting, there is no public comment. Therefore, instructions on how to speak to the subcommittee virtually are not issued. If you'd like to address the Gloucester School Committee, please comment at our regularly scheduled full school committee meeting, one of which is scheduled tonight at approximately 6:30 p.m. after our executive session. So we will start with introductions, and I'll start with you, Gary. Go right around the table.
Sure. I'm Gary Frisch. I'm the CFO.
So I'm Ben Loomis, I'm the school superintendent.
Melissa Texera-Prince, member to the BNF. Kathy Clancy, school committee chair.
Bill Melvin, school committee member.
And Maria Puglisi, recording secretary.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the receiving a report from our CFO, and we are going to start with the fiscal 2023 budget update.
Hey. Thank you, Melissa. We got a PowerPoint presentation short. First, I'll go over the agenda for tonight's meeting, which is on the next slide. Thanks. So the agenda here, we're going to start with the budget update. And included in there is the food service budget summary. We'll spend about 10 minutes each on the budget update and the food service budget summary. And then we'll go into budget transfers. I'll review the revolving funds. And then we'll talk about some building fees for some long-term users. So I estimate about 1 hour for the entire meeting, but we may finish earlier. Okay, the next slide, please. And we'll dive right into the budget update. The food service budget revolving fund, I have presented it separately from the other revolving funds. This year, as you may recall, the food service at each of the schools is free for all the students. The state has provided the food service free lunch program this year. And because of that, we're anticipating higher participation by our students, which means that we'll receive more revenue than we have in the past. And this year, we're projecting $1.5 million for the food service reimbursements from the state and federal governments. In the past, it's been about 1.2 million. So let me review some of the expenditures that we're anticipating. In the past, we paid the director's salary from the operating fund. Because of the additional revenue, we're going to this year allocate the director's salary to the food service revolving fund. In addition, we'll pick up the health insurance cost for the full-time employees, full-time food service employees who have elected health insurance. So the total expenditures we're looking at is 1.7 million. Looking at the little chart on the right side of the screen, we started the school year with a pretty large beginning balance of $441,000. Subtracting the net expense, we anticipate at the end of the year, we'll land about $200,000 in a positive position. So let me stop there and see if there's any questions that I may be able to answer.
I don't see any questions. Well, I think Bill is thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. The labor, I'm sorry, the health insurance, have we always picked that up? I mean, it's only my second year on the budget.
Yeah, we haven't typically picked that up, as well as the director's salary.
Yeah.
We didn't pick it up this year with the additional revenue from increased participation and the state providing reimbursements. We're able to afford to charge it to the fund.
Right. And
We've
not
always
the
paid it.
operating budget.
And not,
Right.
right,
Yeah,
It was in the operating budget before, and now it's going into the food service.
got it.
yeah.
And my only other question was, difference between, well, what do we classify as non-food costs? Is that like
Paper goods. Is that paper goods?
paper plates?
Yes, paper products, some repairs and maintenance, some other non-food costs.
Yeah, okay. That's it. Sorry.
So I'm gonna ask a question, what is the equipment for 84,000? What did we purchase?
That was we had some, I don't know
Was it
specifically,
the steamer or something?
it could have been, but I will get that to you in
Okay,
an email.
I just want to keep track of what we're purchasing. I know we
Yes.
got a list, so. we can just-
So I'll write this down, get back to you on the specific equipment.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. And that is the year-to-date budget report. We're about halfway through the school year, and in terms of the calendar. And I want to update for you where we predict the various salaries, benefits, contract services, and supplies. Keep in mind that each year we allocate prepaid tuition against any remaining funds. And the prepaid tuition in the last 2 years was $1.250 million. So I updated this and professional salaries, clerical salaries, L salaries, and some paras. If you add all that up, it's just under or very close to $1 million. And that's, as we said before, salaries and benefits amount to 85% of our total operating funds. We all, as I mentioned on the food service, we're allocating insurance costs to the food service fund. That frees up some insurance costs on the operating fund. We're also going to charge, we also charge Title I for health insurance. That's historically what we have done in the past. So then we'll look at charging ESSER funds for health insurance as well. Because if you charge one of the funds, you have to charge all the funds for health insurance. You're not supposed to just do, just one. You're supposed to be consistent. Contingency is still at 200,000, but I will have a recommendation for you to transfer the contingency budget to our next item, which is out-of-district transportation, which we are experiencing a rapid increase in cost. So I'll have that recommendation when I finish this budget update report to you.
Can I ask a question on that, Gary?
Yeah, please.
And maybe you can explain it when we talk further. I mean, it's January. So to transfer it now, I just have that concern that we still have months left.
Sure, if you want to.
But we can
yeah.
have that discussion later, or just.
Yeah, let's have that discussion.
Unless you have a plan.
The out of district transportation, we had budgeted around $650,000. And last year it was $800,000 was our total expenditure. When we look at the numbers of students that we need to transport, and we're looking at the monthly cost, it's coming out to an additional $750,000 of cost. When I said a rapid increase, it really was that. One of the issues is we're not getting competition. We're only on many routes, we're only having one transportation provider give us a quote. And so that's one concern. It's just the numbers that our students are going to different places. Every time there's a different place, a different placement for a student. It's it goes up to around $50,000 is for one student is what we're seeing.
Sorry, Gary, am I hearing you correctly that the transportation has, what did you say it was total for last year? Like
Around 800,000
so it's already doubled.
essentially.
And did I read, I thought I read in the school committee, state school committee newsletter that I got, is the state, I mean, we're not the only town that's struggling with this.
Right.
It's happening across the Commonwealth. Is the state taking a look at this, or is they? I thought I read something like that, but maybe I'm wrong.
The state on the chapter on the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
They now, with the passage of the Student Opportunity Act, now are reimbursing school districts up to 75% of the cost. So that is a good thing, but the problem is we have to pay upfront.
Yeah. You're not getting reimbursed until the end of the school year or
Next year.
next year.
So our costs this year are being going to be reimbursed next year.
Yeah.
And they're phasing in the reimbursement over several years. So they're taking this year 75% of our eligible cost, and then taking another 75% to reimburse us.
Yeah.
And so we'll receive that in the following year.
Yeah, it's a huge chunk of money.
Yeah. Yes.
Last question, what wouldn't be reimbursable? I mean, isn't it, it sounds like it's all, it's not like this segments of the transportation, it's all, you're driving kids to different locations.
Yeah, driving kids to different locations.
And do they set a rate, like, does the state say, okay, we'll reimburse you 75% at a rate of $40 an hour, or is it whatever we pay?
It's whatever we pay.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we getting a reimbursement this year from last year?
Yeah, this year, because they're phasing it in. It was 50%
Okay.
of our eligible
last year.
costs,
Which was,
then 75% of that. So this year we received about $320,000 from the prior year.
Yeah.
And that's incorporated into your projection, right?
Yes,
Can
yes.
I just ask something?
go ahead, ask. Yeah.
So, Two questions. So what I'm hearing is, it sounds like this year we're projected to be at about $1.4 million
Yes,
net of this 300 reimbursement.
Yes.
Okay. And then unlike when we get reimbursed from circuit breaker for tuition, there's a threshold that we have to meet. We pay 100% of that, and then they start reimbursing. Is transportation the full amount, or is there?
well, we're reading the threshold. For example, a student is charged $50,000 for the placement for tuition. The threshold is 50,000 approximately. So we meet the threshold on the tuition predominantly. And then the excess is the transportation, which is then getting reimbursed because it's after the threshold.
That's a lot of money in the output, you know, that you're not seeing for another, it's not coming back in right away, it's.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, exactly.
We talked about that next few months, Bill.
Yeah, oh, you have, oh, yeah,
No, we will.
oh, yeah.
And when we do, I see how we have services in district transportation in one line. Can we separate those? So that when
Yes.
we're talking about out of district transportation, we have an actual number
Sure,
or
I'll
a
separate
better
that.
number that makes sense so that we can focus on it.
I'll send a new one out.
No rush, just that I'm just going forward.
Yeah, sure, go.
Oh, going forward,
Yeah, going forward.
or it's separated out,
Tell
okay.
me if they're show me that, because I'm like, wait a minute, this is how much we have budgeted, but
Okay,
so I appreciate that. Thank you.
you bet. Any other questions? Okay, and then keep in mind, we're anticipating that we'll still be able to meet the 1,250,000 for the prepaid at this juncture.
That could change.
It's January.
We're worried, we're a little concerned about that.
Yeah. But Gary hasn't failed us yet.
Either by,
Nope.
that continues.
That's my job.
For that.
That's my job, is to keep us above board.
Yeah.
Above water. Now let's talk about the transfer. Just because the reason why I'm suggesting that we do it now is because it's such a known, we're pretty confident that out of district transportation is going to be way over budget. So it just seems logical to take the 200. It's not going to fully reimburse the overage, but it's if there was one part in the budget that is going to be over, it's going to be the out of district transportation.
Yeah.
But if you want to wait, that I'm fine with waiting.
What's the payoff for waiting? It doesn't seem like there is one.
Well, the only issue, it's January, and they're historically, we haven't had huge expenses that we've used school committee contingency for, but we have used it for the purpose that it's there, right? Like, if there is something that comes up that needs to be, so if we do transfer, I would recommend we transfer an amount lesser than 100%.
Okay.
For now, so that you know you're covered to a certain degree, but that there's still a little bit of money left in the contingency for that very purpose.
Well, I guess I'm okay,
And by April, we'll know.
waiting, and if you have more comfort waiting, by all means, let's wait, and at least I signal to you.
I personally think at this point, we probably should have a transfer now, of an amount, because we know this is a
Okay,
real shortfall that needs to be covered. So the question is, what's that amount that we would feel comfortable transferring over?
So we're showing the shortfall now in our budget,
in the line item,
in that line item.
we're not showing it now just because we haven't encumbered yet the anticipated following months that we've been spending about $100,000, 90,000 actually, per month, and so just projecting it out, we're looking at, we're gonna spend it, but waiting is fine. If you wanna do 50% now and save the other 50% for other items that may pop up, that's fine. So I'm open to what your comfort level.
My comfort level is probably a little bit different than Kathy's, because she's been doing this longer than I have. I just see as tonight as maybe marking a placeholder that we're gonna do that, and then maybe February, March, see what the actuals come out to be, and see what else comes awry, or hopefully nothing else comes our way that we would need to target that money for. But I guess if you look at big picture, it doesn't really matter, because we're gonna have to pay that responsibility either way. So I guess I'm talking myself in a circle that I could be comfortable doing the transfer today.
Yeah.
But I just have concerns because it's January and it's like, that is our contingency fund and that's all we have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because whatever else comes out, we're gonna have to figure it out.
Well, it sounds, let me just respond quickly. Sure. To Melissa and then.
Yep.
I'll, so it sounds like, you have a feeling that you'd like to save it. And logically, you see there's no difference. So.
And this is why, Gary, so I see that as of today, we have a prediction that we're gonna be able to meet that, our standard
Right.
prepay, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens in the budget. And so to me, it doesn't seem that much of a need to address that yet,
Okay,
but that's just one person, one thought now, right? I could be convinced to do whatever is financially responsible, because I know that's what we're gonna do. But it's hard for me to understand that we have money at the end of the year to prepay, but yet we're giving up our contingency
Sure.
budget right now.
sure.
That's all.
No, that makes sense.
Have we been reimbursed for last year already? We've already been reimbursed, right?
For the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
They do it quarterly. So every quarter they announced how much we're gonna receive,
Okay,
but it's over 4 quarters.
I see. Yeah, I would defer to Kathy, man, if she thinks, 50% or whatever, I guess that makes sense. My fear is that the line item, the expenses are going away, it's not gonna go down.
Yeah.
But I can certainly see, hey, let's keep a little bit let's keep a little in the kitty, so to speak.
And I'm just gonna leave it up to the three of you and the superintendent. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
We have 1 or 2 contracts open this year to negotiate.
There's 3 actually,
Yeah.
'cause you're a food service, check out today, so
Yeah.
food service, bus drivers, and also paraprofessionals.
And they expire this year, or they've already expired and
No,
we're
no,
due
it's
to
right,
negotiate?
in the school year.
Oh, so it's not this budget then, okay.
No, it's not as much.
Okay, so that makes me feel better. But I thought we had some negotiating to do out of this year's budget, and evidently we don't.
All for about people.
Okay.
Well, I'm okay with waiting if we want to wait, because it doesn't impact your ability to pay those. Right.
No, I just feel good signaling to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On record.
That you have,
Yeah.
you really would like that whole 200,000 when we're
Yeah.
comfortable to transfer it.
When you're comfortable.
duly noted.
That works for me. Any other questions before we move on to the next one?
It's a big topic, I didn't really realize it was, the cost had gone up that much.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a huge topic as the year goes on here.
Do we have to approve these transfers yet that are on
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
Just haven't got there for the agenda yet.
here? Okay.
Yeah, it's next. So essentially, one more. Thank you. Maria. Essentially, this is one transfer. There's a lot of lines on it. So the situation occurred. Each year we have a difficult time having recess monitors. And interesting, this year I found out for the first time this year, they're called yard ladies.
They used to be called yard ladies.
No, we call it.
We call them noon
supervisors.
They
Noon supervisors, but I guess way back when
they were yard ladies
they were yard
when
ladies.
I was in school,
Yes,
long time ago.
Or they,
Yeah.
they were still.
Are any members of the public on the?
Really?
Can't call.
What's that?
Any members of the public on the call?
Can't tell unless I'm sharing.
You know, just this is term yard ladies, it's,
Yeah, there's one.
it's gotta be changed to do it that way.
Well, yeah, you're
No,
right,
I get it, I
yeah.
get it.
They were ladies, and they were our friends and took care of us.
Oh, it's really, they took care of the kids without a doubt, without a doubt. They're-
that was a
No
little.
matter what we call, no matter what the name of the position is, they're important people. We should be important
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
Right. So we have
I think you have a
worked
typo.
out
I
an
think you have a
arrangement.
typo there,
Oh, I have a typo.
72,000. Versus 7,200, right?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, wow, okay. Thank you on that.
Sure.
Duly noted, and we'll correct that. So we have an arrangement that we worked out with the YMCA, and they provide recess monitors and the personnel that they provide us for the recess monitors or noon supervisors. They have been working in our schools in the after-school program. So there's some continuity of the personnel. And this is set up so that we can be able to pay from each school's budget and the amount that we anticipate we're gonna spend for recess monitors to the YMCA.
In addition to what's in the budget.
Yes. In addition to what's in the budget. So in the budget, we had more money for recess monitors we won't spend as much in that line item. And we'll spend it more in this line item.
Why?
Yeah, just to pay out of the correct account.
Okay,
It's just an accounting. Strictly to be able to pay out of the correct account.
so it's gonna come out of each school individual's budget
Yes.
as opposed to,
One of the advantages of this, which you're remind us, is that
As opposed to the one account from the districts.
it helps us obviously, a
Right.
very important function every day of our schools, but also helps the Y because it helps them recruit and retain staff. Well, as Gary said, also, our after school, program staff as well, and so that recruiting better staff, retaining staff more for all those functions is helpful for both for us and for them. The new supervisors and also from the after school program. So it's actually a nice partnership that way. We help each other out.
I'm talking with the principals, they're very happy with this arrangement.
Yeah, so I totally remember the discussion we've had about the why doing this program. So what you're saying is you are moving the budget or the spending from one account to the accounts that it needs to actually get paid out of, or that it is being paid out. Not that this is incremental to what you projected in the budget?
No,
No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
this doesn't affect 1.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I move that we approve the budget transfers as presented.
Second.
I think
I was
we
just
need a
thinking,
roll call.
we don't have to recommend this now to the full committee, we do this on our own. Yeah. So we'll call vote, please. Unless there's any discussion.
No, I was just gonna say, do we need to approve it with the correction?
Yeah, with the correction of the 70.
Yeah, with the correction so noted. Yeah,
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
okay. The next one is revolving funds. And just so that everyone's clear, we have 3 different groups of accounts. We have one bucket is the operating, which is what we talked about earlier this evening. We have revolving funds, which is these major fund groups, as well as the food service. And then we have grants. So just, we do have 3 different kinds of monies we're in charge of. So the revolving funds, they're all in a positive position. We will have a transaction that's not reflected here that will move money from the athletic department to the transportation department for athletic trips. So that's yet to be booked. We book it once a year. School choice. That's money that we receive for students who are from another district that choose our district. And we receive that from the state or the Commonwealth. Preschool, we charge tuition, and that's the balance that we have right now in the preschool revolving fund. Professional development, that's usually around that balance. The circuit breaker, we typically receive the circuit breaker in 1 year. Like we were talking earlier that we were told how much we're going to receive this year, which is about 1.2 million, $1.250 million. And we're going to receive it over 4 quarterly payments. We don't use that money until the following year. So we're not touching that money and we're using it next year. So this 1.4, that was money from the FY20, FY21 school year. We bank it 1 year and then we spend it. So we're going to spend that $1.4 million. Non-resident tuition, that's money that students from another district then pay us tuition for a program that we have.
So what's the difference between that and school choice?
They're still choosing to be in the Rockport district. As an example, we had 2 students in our, I think it was either preschool or first grade or kindergarten. They were still considered Rockport students, but came in to our program to participate in our program.
And that's in the
Our
non-resident tuition, or that's in the school choice?
It's non-resident.
Okay, so school choice is when another district student is coming to our school.
Yeah, they decide, hey,
Right,
I'm gonna be a Gloucester student.
and the non-resident tuition is when they just come for maybe 1 year and they're not giving up their
Right.
claim to the district they're in.
Right, they're saying, the other district, but then utilizing our program.
Program of special education
Uh,
or regular
Vocational.
first grade.
Vocational is what I
I
was.
think it was preschool. I think it was special ed, yeah. Mainly, this is gonna be a special ed situation. And this is done all the time. Is,
And we have had in the past.
Yeah.
Our kids choose to go.
right,
go to
It's a-
schools
yeah.
That we think.
yeah, sometimes we'll pay Manchester or Beverly, because they have a particular program that meets, that we don't have, that meets our students' needs. So those are revolving funds. And the reason why it's set up as a revolving fund typically is because we also receive user fees. We're collecting user fees on athletics and transportation. We used to, we're not charging anymore. Preschool, we accept tuition. So it's when we have that user fees or we're receiving money.
And professional development would be like a collaborative.
Yes.
Professional development, with another district
Yeah.
might pay us.
Right. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like another issue that could be coming to the forefront is like, and I'm wondering if we're kind of held over a barrel as well on transportation for athletics, like, you know, events now get postponed or rescheduled because we don't have transportation, or we saw today that there was like a school basketball game canceled because we didn't have transportation. Are we using our own buses? I guess what I'm asking is, I know Manchester, they'll sub that out to Salter or Slater or whatever. Do we do that, or do we strictly use our own buses?
So we lease our buses, we have our own staff and management. A place like Manchester, I think, does, and others is they lease with a company that takes the whole operation. It's typically the whole operation, including the employees. So they have all that management on their side, basically, and then the district pays them, you know, a service contract, typically. You know, and so you're right, we're having some real challenges on bus transportation right now, just in district transportation, including bus sports athletic charters, sorry. Because we're down staff and yeah, that's it. And because that, as I discussed, folks are taking on more responsibilities. There's less flexibility on it because we don't have a abundance of staff. We are hoping that at least 2 of our recent hires will be fully trained by the end of this month and take on routes starting in February. That still would get us to where we started.
Yeah.
We get us above. So that's why HR and transportation are working, and you'll see when we do the budget priorities presentation for transportation that you know accelerating the recruitment, hiring, and training processes. Like it's I mean that's you know, we talk about strategic transportation, you know, and the cost rising there.
Yeah.
And the main reason there is because shortage of drivers, shortage of options, shortage of services, same thing we're experiencing. So it's one of the disruptions that we'll talk more about if you want. So we touch on a bunch of tonight,
Right.
the main ones.
Right.
But disruptions that are really impacting budget, but also operation here, honestly. You know, you can learn. They really are. It's I'd say the extent of it has grown in magnitude this year, and so we're experiencing some of these last year, but it's accelerating.
Yeah, totally. It's great to see it.
Any other questions?
Not unless it's happy.
What's that?
Unless it's happy news.
Oh, okay. Got it. Building use fees.
Here we go.
All right, so we have identified 3 long-term users the boys and girls travel basketball and Special Olympics. Just to give you context,
Sorry, is it possible to move or minimize the?
Yes.
just to give you context, last year we charged $250, and that's been a long-term established practice. So then we charged according to our new fee per schedule. And that, you see the column there. And it was a, big difference between what we did in the past and what we passed this year. So there was, we talked about a middle ground or something that could be a revised fee that's more acceptable or more in line with our past, but still keeping in mind that we want to get to down the road, maybe not get to, but also consider what they would be charged had they been one-time users. So-
Can I ask a question on
Yes.
this, Chuck? Do we have a list of what was paid last year before we changed the fees?
That's what on the left-hand side.
Yeah, left-hand side, previous year's fee.
Oh, yeah, but that's per,
No,
that was the total they paid?
yeah.
Oh,
Bill is.
I guess.
Saying, no, it's not.
No,
No,
I'd have to go back and look at that. I think it was, I think, I remember writing a check for at least 1,500. To West Parish for all the practices, or to the school for practices, but
That's why I didn't think those were the numbers.
not, I don't think it's an arguable point right now. I think if people, and again, I'm not fiduciary involved in it anymore, but I think people will be very satisfied with the numbers presented here in this chart.
I'm just trying to figure out where we went to what we are now before we get to that discussion.
So I thought
But
that's what
okay.
we were presenting. I
That's
understand that's accurate, or that isn't accurate. So, and that's what we're intending to present. No, I know we're not.
yeah.
Okay.
One of there could have been, additional applications. The application that I saw was the 250, but it could have been additional.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah, multiple applications.
So, and which makes me ask the question, this include the cost of the custodian at O'Malley?
No,
High school always has custodians, so they don't have to hire one here, correct? Because we have 24 hour
Well,
here.
we wouldn't.
we
How
don't
does that
have it
work?
on Saturday or Sunday,
We don't
right?
on Saturday, Sunday have a custodian here?
That's my understanding.
Okay, I just don't know, I'm asking, I thought. We had a
Don't be on top
24/7.
of the fee.
Yeah, and that's totally, the girls' program plays on Saturday mornings at O'Malley. The understanding is we're covering the janitorial fees.
Yeah, maybe your 1,500 was janitorial.
I'll go back and look.
Yeah, because
What I wrote a check for.
this is not any, there's no janitorial fees on here.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, again, at this point, it doesn't, people are gonna be very, very satisfied, because I'll find out exactly.
Yeah, well, we're trying to go towards, and I'll be frank, Gary pushed me down, so I was going for a little bit more than this, okay? But if you look at that per use fee, I think it's very reasonable. It's not generous from our point of view, and I think, doesn't mean that stays that way if we find more information, but maybe for this year, this is a reasonable approach. I'm wondering, I want to sort of move forward with this. I understand we didn't give you the correct information tonight, but wondering if you could.
So,
I'm wondering about the Special Olympics. Have you had feedback from them when they got billed this year? I'm wondering what their revenue generation
That's a good
source
point.
is for the special Olympics program. That And that is in the school, right? And I'm curious what city charges when they're using the field, because I know they're in the gym in the winter, but I believe they're outside in the fall and the spring.
I just want to make sure we're consistent, not an organization,
Right.
but on use. Okay, are you just getting into different fees and different organizations is really problematic. You know, and
I understand.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that. What's that?
yeah, I think it's,
Oh, okay,
So I just want to go back to the custodian matter for a minute. So
sure.
this does not include custodian fees, and they pay a custodian by the hour?
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we get billed, I think we get billed by the hour, yeah. And the hours change from Saturday to Saturday. There
Yeah,
may
the
be
Friday.
Saturdays where we have 5 games there, starting at 9 o'clock, that might go right to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so that's 6 hours. There's other Saturdays, because of the way the schedule's set up, where we might only have 2 games there. And so we're not paying.
as much.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Changes from week to week.
So by
Yeah.
looking at this, they're not just paying $16.25 a year, the boys travel team, they're paying that plus the
Plus.
custodian fee.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, the plus the custodial. So this, yeah, that's a good point. This fee does not include the
Right.
custodial.
okay,
Yeah, and just to be clear, for the boys travel basketball O'Malley, they only practice at O'Malley during the week, and I think this Janet is there during. They play their games at the high school on
Right.
Sundays.
Yeah.
So the girls practice at West Parish, play at O'Malley. So, but it's always been that way, that the janitors are billed out separately on the weekends, at least at O'Malley. I don't know about the high school. I don't know if it's janitors here.
So what we're seeing is 65 days of practice, 10 days of games
We're seeing,
for the
what we're-
travel basketball.
what we're seeing, really, it should say girls travel basketball, West Parish.
they're not at O'Malley?
They're only at O'Malley for the games, so I guess it could say West Parish and O'Malley.
Yeah,
Because that's their total.
Yeah.
right.
So they're 69 and the boys are a little bit more. at
Yeah.
75.
Yeah, the fee is the same, whether it's West
Under the
Parish
single.
or O'Malley that I used.
Yeah.
I'm okay with, I mean, I feel very comfortable with these fees.
Me too.
You do, okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't know if we,
Do you need?
I don't know if we need unless the action.
I think
Well,
we do. We
we
would
do.
recommend it to the full committee.
Okay,
And we need to revise the ones we set.
okay.
Yeah, because it's part of our policy.
Oh, right.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt the proposed long-term fees as presented tonight for our building use policy regarding youth fees. in the use of our facilities.
this would be. I would say heavy users.
Right.
So that's what this is for. This is for folks who are doing it dozens of times a year, which only falls into these two.
So are there other youth sports that aren't listed here that are using our,
No,
Facility.
the issue isn't about the individual, so one-time use type.
right? Yeah.
Was that it adds up if you're using 65 times a year.
But what I'm asking, is there another youth group that is using on a regular basis? It just might not be 60 times.
Not that I.
Not that, right, Maria's probably the best one to talk, ask this question, if you're, never, but I mean, are there ones that we're talking about like dozens of times, 20 times or more?
I think that's probably it.
The only other one I could possibly think of, I don't know if there's a youth wrestling
the Girl
program or
Scouts?
something.
Yes, there is.
There is,
Actually, yeah, they use the gym in the main basement.
yeah, which is,
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So does this
So,
include
yeah,
that
it would-
group?
yeah.
And what about the Girl Scouts, the PT?
I think let's check that, let's check the amount of use, maybe.
yeah,
Because if it's,
One time a month, I think,
And it's a classroom,
but it's still a building use fee.
Yeah, it would
right?
be,
Not, but it doesn't fall under the gymnasium category.
No.
it's
it would be $10
That's fee for a classroom.
for the classroom.
Okay.
no, 25.
I was doing the classroom at 10. What's the classrooms
For frequent users or
for frequent,
Oh,
yeah, 10. You know, 10,
I think we need to set then what frequent users.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think 20. So maybe it doesn't, maybe it doesn't. We're using it every month.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah. Doesn't or more applies. to this.
Yeah, 12, I think, because I would like to see the Girl Scouts fall into that category if they're meeting once a month.
It's only 9 months.
They don't meet in the summer?
That would be
They
9.
do.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
thinking,
Well, there's not just a lot of revenue there, right? I mean, there's no gate fees, there's no. And they've been using our
Girl
building.
Scouts are a multi-billion-dollar organization.
And they're paying custodian fees too,
Okay.
right?
Well,
No.
but those are actual costs, those are real.
Why they not begin at school without custodian? They usually meet after school.
Custodian? Yeah, all right, okay.
It's not incremental. Custodian.
We're talking small dollars, it's $200 a session.
Okay.
So I'm looking at 12. 12 a year.
12.
Yeah.
and that would be,
applies to any youth group.
that would be any youth group, 12 or more.
Or more. Right.
And that would be the $75 at the high school, but 25 at the other locations, and 10 for classroom.
So should we do 2 motions then, just define what frequent user is and then, or just make that part of the motion? What do you think?
Make it part of the
Part of the motion.
motion.
So then I'll amend the motion to state that the fees presented are in for our frequent users, which is 12 times per year. Or more.
12 or more.
For the 2022-23 school year.
No,
Might want to review it at the end.
Yeah, you said you're
We
gonna
review
look
them
at
every
fees
year.
annual, yeah.
If
So
we
I-
reviewed annually.
That's too much.
Okay.
We're doing it anyway, right? We already put in our policy that we're reviewing it every year, right?
That's fine.
Maria, can you just read back the motion so that it makes sense? We add more, rewrite it so you capture what we say.
It was motion to, I assume recommend to the full school committee.
Yeah.
That we adopt the proposed long-term fees for the building use policy for youth group as presented. That doesn't make sense.
So to adopt, start it again, because I see an area where we can change it.
Okay. Motion to adopt
Yeah,
the proposed long-term fees
yeah.
for the building use policy. I don't think that goes in there. For any youth group fees,
So that's where we change it for
Frequent
frequent
Users.
users,
Frequent.
12 plus, more times per year.
Frequent users as defined by groups that use it 12 or more times.
Kathy, I have an extension cord if you want one.
Yes, I put it over here.
Okay. Just saying.
Okay.
motion to adopt the proposed long-term fees for the building use policy for users, for frequent users as defined by or as defined as groups who use
Facility more than 12 times per year,
facilities
12 or more times.
12 times or more per year.
I just want you to add youth groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's where it's within groups. Just youth groups.
Is there a second? Bill,
Yes.
Any discussion?
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry, okay,
Bill,
Yes,
Melissa,
yes,
Yes.
Thank you.
okay.
thank you,
Well done.
folks.
Well, I said we were going to finish an hour and we, a few minutes left.
Okay,
Well, we're done with it.
we are done. So there's no other matters. The food service nutrition was removed from the agenda. So with that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved,
Second,
Roll call vote?
Bill,
yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
and Kathy.
yes.
Thank you.
Good night, Stephanie.
Good night.
Stephanie, thanks.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Good night.
Good night.